questions or anything you'd like to discuss. So we're going to be talking about marketing QuickBooks. Just a little bit about, first of all, thanks for having me. Teacher isn't any good without good students. So just a little bit about what we do. We coach owners and staff on how to use QuickBooks more effectively in order to improve their everyday business. Most of what we do is to collaborate with business owners and staff to find out what their needs are. And it can range around marketing, helping them with their margins, their process and procedures, also the customer relationships and the people in the staff. Software is just an excuse to collaborate and improve things. Pretty much got an idea about what you guys do. Was there anything particular that you would like to learn today or that you want me to focus on? Did you come with any particular ideas? Or you want me to?
Did you?
Okay, so I'll give it's kind of a general layout of how you can use QuickBooks for marketing and how you can track customers and how you can kind of stay involved with customers. All right, so there's a section in QuickBooks called the Lead Center. And that's a place where you can put in new customers, prospects, people that maybe want an estimate but they've never purchased from you. And it's something that they've been building on in QuickBooks because CRM, having a customer relationship database, is something that people have been asking for more and more. So you can open that up by going to Customers on the way top, and then when you do the drop down, you'll see something that says Lead Center. And it looks very much like the Customer Center, but it's really just for prospects. It's very handy. It's very handy in the aspect that you can do tasks. You can do reminders to call that person, to send them a letter, to send them an email. So right in this drop down there, you can choose what you want to do. You can also say whether they're a medium or a warm lead, or and then you can set dates and to do and times to remind yourself to go ahead and call them or follow up. And it will track all that and keep a list of all your to-dos. You can also find this as well in the Customer Center. So the Customer Center, that's where you've already got your existing customers' names and addresses and things like that. But there's more tabs now where you can actually do to-do lists, reminders, things like that. And all this will populate over to the calendar, which is in QuickBooks now. So it can be handy if you just want to be doing your leads and follow up right through QuickBooks, and if that's open all day for you. A lot of people use Outlook as well in their calendar there, but this might be a great tool for doing follow-ups just for customers. The other thing about leads is if a lead becomes a customer, you can flip it over to a customer. Not all the pertinent data comes over. You still have to fill in like phone number and a couple other things. So but the fact you can flip their name over and their address and then have a lot of that information ready to go as a customer now.
But you don't have to, correct?
No, you can
You just wanted to use that as how to track leads and how to keep track of who you've contacted and what you've done.
Yeah, you could leave them in leads because you might have 300 leads and only several will turn into customers.
Right.
So it's an idea so you don't have to keep your customer base all jammed up with prospects.
Right,
Yeah.
and how to sort those.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good point. You don't have to move them unless they're really ready to buy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the type of reports you can get out of QuickBooks. So you can go up to a report, it's up on reports, and then you go down to sales, and this one's called a sales by customer report, okay? So you can start looking at who's been buying from your business, you know. And it doesn't necessarily mean that's the best prospect, but it will tell you who's buying the highest volume. Another report to really look at is this job profitability zone. Because it will also tell you what the revenue was, which is the sales that you're already seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us kind of focus on sales, but that's not always the case. It will show the actual cost, and then you can actually see the difference. So where one customer might give you the most sales, another one might be buying things that have better gross profit margin for you, you know. So you want to look at both of those. And it kind of leads me to a question like, what is a good customer? You know, what's a good customer for you guys, and what do you think? You know, how do you feel about how you lay out your customers?
Well, I think our best customers are sponsors that really engage in the festival.
Okay.
They're people that say, yes, we want to sponsor, yes, we understand, yes, we want to activate the sponsorship, yes, we want to be involved.
Okay.
And those are people, and then paying on time is always really good too, but the more you can get, we find the more that we can get our sponsors to activate their sponsorship, the more likely they're going to stick around.
Okay. And be involved. Right?
Be involved.
Yeah.
And because they have invested more than just a check.
Okay.
And when they've made that kind of investment, we find that it transcends turnover in management. It transcends, for instance, our Tulip Ambassador event is sponsored by KeyBank.
Okay.
And they've changed managers, they've changed locations.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much staff has changed, but we have had them for our ambassador sponsorship probably for 5 years.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
Because they've engaged and they've activated that sponsorship at the local level, and they have the support from the bottom.
Okay.
So,
How about yourself? Anything that you look to market for? Or
Same thing, because we also are in sponsorships, and then how well involved are members. So if they become ambassadors, if they become board members as well, how much do they want to get out of their membership with us to network with other businesses and be able to shop local, and as well as just support each other within the business community.
Gotcha. So a lot more than the sales. It sounds like involvement is really big and interaction.
well, I
And how
think
about the
probably for both of us.
Yeah.
Well, a good customer, I think, for us is someone who's looking for a relationship that's going to be supported long-term, not just a quick call, but rather one that's looking to build a partnership of sorts
Okay.
and gets that and finds that when they call. And,
Yeah.
longevity, I think, is what we're after.
Good point. Thank you. Ready for that? As I was going down the list, because different people ask me for different things when we look at marketing, you know, I was thinking about, like, not necessarily sales. That doesn't have to be the top one. You do want to look at the margin too. But the other thing is, someone might not buy much from you, but they may be a connector out in the world. They may know many people, and they may talk it up, you know. Other customers are just a joy to be around. Maybe they're, you know, don't see as much, or paying on time is usually something everybody kind of looks for. And then there's the complainers. And I've found throughout my lifetime in doing business operations that sometimes the complainers make us the sharpest. You know, they demand more, they want more, and they say, how come you're not doing this, and how come you did that? And it really lets us look at our whole operation again and decide what we can improve on.
Although honestly, don't you sometimes just go, oh no, here they come again?
There's some of that, because there'll be a percentage that they'll never be satisfied, you know? So it's more like the person that's level-headed and is forthright in saying what they think they fell short with, you know? which is, often is a good friend, someone that
Right,
taps on
right.
the shoulder, yeah.
Those folks you never mind hearing from.
Yeah, especially if they, and so the variety and the spice is really what I've found, all customers bring something to the table. Okay, now this next one is, I was thinking about who was the most important customer. In playing soccer and coaching soccer, there was someone who said, it's an older coach, and he said to the kids, who's the most important person on the field? Everybody's like, oh, the kid with the ball, or someone who passed it, or someone who scored, or someone who saved. They said, no, it's the person without the ball. That's the most important person on the field. And he got us all thinking about, what does he mean by that? Well, typically he wanted people to be making runs and moves and setting up the next play. So if we didn't have the ball, he wanted people thinking about what should they do next to support their team, and create things. So that got me thinking about also, it might be the customer that comes in frequently but doesn't buy much, It might be, to eventually get them on board and maybe give them a discount on a product or get them involved with their business, That may be a really important customer that's going to spread the word for you. Existing customers, of course, it takes so much longer to bring on new customers. Sometimes they say 6 to 9 times the effort to bring on new customers. That, if we put a little more energy into our existing customers and working with them and letting them know we're grateful, that can go a long way. What about the ones that never came back? Have you heard any stories of that situation?
That's relevant for the chamber office.
Yeah.
Asking the questions of why.
So it's, understanding why they didn't sign up or why they left and figuring out their needs and then being able to meet their needs, but as well as the needs for the rest of the members.
Yes. That takes a lot of courage. I keep thinking about calling people up and saying, I haven't seen you in a couple of years, why might that be? It takes a lot of courage to ask them that. So, good for you guys. And someone told me a story the other day where they were getting product and they had someone else ship it and it was showing up on customers' doorstep broken. And they said, thankfully this person called me and complained and we replaced it right away. I said, yeah, that's great customer service. We didn't charge them, and actually we sent them a little gift as well, right? So he said they posted a bad thing on Facebook, and the next thing they knew, a couple days later, they're saying how great the company was. And that's big. That's big. But they said our concern is there may be 10 other people out there that they had the broken bottles, and they didn't call. And they could be telling 10 other people that this is not a good company, right? So you do want to try to track down the ones that didn't come back, or possibly if there was an issue in the mailing, you check with all of them to make sure they got what they needed. Maybe there was a week that things went awry.
I think though for us, it's almost what I think the chamber sells, what the Tulip Festival sells is not items. It's not tangible things. Used to be.
Yes.
We sell a little bit of product, but we most of what we sell is a service.
Yes. Yeah.
Or an image or a perception, and those are almost more difficult to track down.
Yes.
And to keep track of.
Do you have a way of measuring? Do you guys use a evaluation tool of any kind?
We don't.
Or a feedback? Or you don't have anything in place that way?
Okay. And there's always, sometimes someone needs a break. They can't afford your product, or they got a situation going on. Some of the best marketers I've seen are always like a people person. They're willing to, step out, help that person out. The other thing I like to think about too is, and because I sometimes lose track, why do we go into business? What was our sole motivation? So if you think back, my motivation was I had a business and I worked with a mentor, that was really good at coaching it and helped me see the big picture, and I met with them once a month, and I said, yeah, I'd really like to do that. I'd really like to help small businesses because of all the stress and all the hats they have to wear. That's something I would really like to do. And so anything like that drove you guys into the business that you're in, initially, like why you went into marketing or why you went into...
I have a background in writing, and
Okay.
I wanted a job that was local. When I joined the Tulip Festival in 1999, I wanted a job that had flexibility.
Okay.
Because I had young children at the time, and I also wanted a job that wasn't going to be the same thing every day.
Gotcha. A lot of variety you got compared to... Yeah. Okay, that met all your needs.
And more.
Okay. Yeah. And how about you two? Like, what led you towards being in marketing?
I like communications, so that's my background. And I like working with people. I like helping. I'm a helper. I don't like selling something that I'm not willing to buy.
Okay.
So, which is a huge thing.
Yeah. Okay.
I would echo both of those reasons collectively, for sure.
Okay.
And then just maybe add that supporting small businesses and being that extra person that they don't necessarily have time to be
Yes.
in the reaching out and the promoting or the diligence that marketing requires is really rewarding.
Yeah.
To be in that helpful role and to see the results of your efforts. Maybe
Yeah.
not right away,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually, yeah. It's
Mhm.
very rewarding.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. This is something a friend recently told me about, actually the other night, about treasures. It's from Matthew 6:20. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And that kind of struck me as a great thing to say. When we're in business, really, where is our heart? Is it with the customers? Is it with helping them? Or is it just, just trying to get ahead? And that seemed to strike true that that's an important part of what we do. And some of the best marketers, because a lot of, with QuickBooks, you actually look at the reports and things like that, so it's dollar-driven in a lot of ways. But some of the best marketers, are out there. They're not just looking at the dollars. They're really looking at the people and the customers. I found them to be like cheerful givers. They're willing to help anybody. They're willing to kind of give beyond the structure of their organization. They're also very focused on what the customer wants. If they want something special or if they want to customize something, they're willing to be flexible. They're very involved with their community. It's really impressed me, some of the business owners I work with that have devoted so much time and their funds and energy into community events. And it seems to go hand in hand with they're just really good people person. They care about everybody. They're a typical business. It's a business that pleases all people. Anybody that walks through their door, they want to work. They want to please. And they also find it a place to mentor and encourage their staff. Young people. There always be people coming up that want to kind of learn from the business leader. All right. Let's go back a little more into the software. There's a section in the customer setup. So if you want to track certain things for a customer, this area right here, if you click Define Fields, okay, that will let you open up several more boxes. And you can name them exactly what you want. So if you want to track someone's birthday, because you like to send birthday cards, maybe what charity they're involved with, possibly their spouse's name, things like that. So when they walk in the door, or when you're talking to them on the phone, and if you have a lot of customers, it kind of helps you remember what their interests are, maybe what their favorite hobbies are. And you can list several more fields too. And once you put the name in, that kind of sticks. But then this field will now show up on every customer. So you kind of list the most important 5 or 6 things that are important to your company. The other piece right here is the customer type. So if you break down your customers, like for one company might do website customers, walk-in traffic, any way that you might break out your customers in your business?
We have them through their categories, so primaries and their secondaries.
Okay.
So what type of business they are, if they're a restaurant, then.
Oh, gotcha.
So the primary would be restaurant, secondary would be what type of restaurant, like Italian, Mexican, Thai.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
and that's a good example.
Okay, so you go in a lot of detail.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and so there's a way, you can make this list pretty long and you do sub-accounts under that too, like you were saying. So, and that way you can actually take your customer list later and sort it by restaurants, by type of restaurant. And how about yourself? Do you do any sorting or categorizing on like out-of-town visitors versus Washington State? You seem to know every state that was involved.
We have 2 types of customers, I guess. The overreaching customers are the visitors that we bring in from outside the area.
Okay.
And those people, we honestly don't make an effort to track to exactly. Because when you have hundreds of thousands of people visiting your area, it's nigh on impossible to track each one of those individuals, and especially when most of them come on particular weekends.
Okay.
But the customers that we also track that are our sponsors, the people that are supporting our organization through purchasing or supporting various benefits, like being on a website listing,
Okay.
what level of sponsor they are, whether they're a restaurant or a place to stay or an event. And so yeah, we track.
Okay. Here's an example of the list of customer types. And like I said, you could sub-account them too, if you wanted, and you can make it quite long if you have quite a few breakouts. Here's an example of a report where you can break it out by customer type. This is a customer contact list. Okay? This field you would add. And typically that's done in this area here. So if you click custom, there'll be a list of different fields or columns you can add. And look for the one that says customer type and just put a check mark next to it. So now you can pull an entire list broken out by customer type. And you can go ahead and use this area here and dump it to Excel if you want it, sort it, And in customer report, there is a thing that says sort. You get to sort once. You can sort by customer type as well. So if you're doing an email campaign or a mailing campaign, you can slice it by customer type. Any questions on that, or just?
I have a comment.
Yes.
If you're planning an event, for example, this might be a good tool to marry whatever complimentary services or retailer complement the event that you're planning, and it might be a quick way to expedite that targeting process.
Mm-hmm.
Good idea.
Thank you, yeah. Okay, there's a section to prepare letters. I know a lot of people use email now, but you can prepare these letters in email as well. Okay? It's kind of buried, but if you go up to the heading, and you have file, edit, you'll see company. And if you do the drop down, company, it's right there. Prepare letters with envelopes. It's kind of buried, but it's in there. And you can do mail merges and things like that. You can do labels as well. So it's really handy. And what it does is it merges all the names. It dumps a common letter to Word. And then you can turn around and make that letter an attachment to email if you want, by just clicking share or send. once you click that area for creating a letter, it brings you to the list of all the customers, and you can click and unclick who you want to send that letter to. And your choices are here: active customers, inactive, in case you want to send out letters to people who haven't come in a long time and you've made them inactive. You can still send letters to them or emails. And also you can do it by customer or job.
And both would get everybody.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, it could be a pretty massive list if you have a lot of. But it's a great way to remind people you're still around and you have a special going and try to bring them back. This is the next screen. You know, once you're moving through, it asks you what type of labels you want to put. So you can get the letter and the label right out of this function here. There's also a spot, if you're looking at a customer and you just highlight them there, you can go up to this area right here, it just says Word. And a drop down will show up and you can prepare a letter just for that customer if you want. And in the backbone, QuickBooks has maybe 5 or 6 letters: thank you, happy birthday, an apology letter, things like that. But you can go in and create your own, customize whatever they have, make a copy and change it, you know. And that is the end of the presentation. Now I do have QuickBooks on my laptop too, so if you guys have any questions, or if you want to see actually how to get in there and do some of these things, I can open that up. Or
So we use like QuickBooks to send out invoices and then just kind of reminder letters, because it's tied into our chamber master, and so I see a lot of like it go back and forth. So.
So is that a separate program,
Mhm.
Chamber Master?
Yeah. It's the one that a lot of chambers use, and it has like the contact information, but it also it works very well with QuickBooks.
Oh, good.
So
Okay.
create invoices and AR and then I don't know the whole process within that
Okay.
invoicing, but
Yeah.
it has.
Okay. And does it sync customers back and forth,
Mhm.
like if you put it in?
If you put it in Chamber Master, it'll sync it to, as long as you click sync to
Okay. Yeah.
QuickBooks.
Okay. And did you have a question related to that too?
I think I'm still trying to process it, so I
Okay.
say it the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're lucky too, because a lot of them, secondary software says they work well with QuickBooks, and a lot of them really don't work really well. So it's great when you find one that syncs it over nicely and comes back and forth. That saves you a lot of time. Yeah. And it sounds like in that program too, you might have letters as well and email functions. Or
I
they
think so,
use-
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So now you can kind of use both worlds if you
Both,
want.
yeah, that's.
Yeah. It's probably who's in QuickBooks is either existing customer, or you might have a long list as well as the inactive ones, and you could say send follow-ups to them. And
Well, I think this is really pertinent because we were just talking about needing to do something for customer leads, because it's really hard to keep track of all those people that you've contacted. And then when do you need to get back with them, and this looks like a real strong program to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed as the lead center allows you to make so many specific comments.
Yeah.
So you're not required to remember. And to be able to quickly convert it to a customer when and if that, happens, what a great time saver.
It is.
Really, yeah.
And a couple years back, they had missed a couple things, like when it flipped over, it didn't bring over everything. And that was a bit of a complaint. I think they've improved that, such as did it bring all the phone numbers, because you might have several contact numbers. I think they've improved on that. At least you get to, flip the main customer name and address. Yeah. So that is, and it is great because sometimes that list, that lead list can be so long, you just don't want it mixed with your shorter customer list.
It allows you to have that personal contact, like you had put out there before about, what makes a good marketing person
Mhm.
or a successful relationship. And And it is so much on the personal things and being attentive to that, and every year my memory gets worse and worse.
That's kind of fun, yeah. Yeah.
So that's neat to be able to rely on something like that.
Lisa's very good at following up and also reminding me to follow up with people. And that does seem to be a big piece. There was a guy who did some work for us, and I was really impressed with something he did. He came over, he did some programming, helped me with a couple things for a couple hours, and then he went away. The next day he calls me and he's, "How's the service? Did everything work out for you? Did you like the service?" And I was shocked. Just totally shocked. And this is a pretty busy person. How do you have the time to do that, But he said that was part of his routine. He liked to call people the next day and just make sure he took care of everything, And,
It's a really big
Great little
component.
tip.
It is, and a lot of times people are so busy they don't slot that aspect of it, and it is vital,
Yeah.
really. This is a big tool for it.
Thank you. This is
You're
great.
welcome. Yeah. Thanks for being such a good